Have you ever walked a silent village lane in India at night and felt eyes watching you from the dark? Have you heard a whisper on the wind when no one else was there, or seen a shadow move in a place where shadows shouldn't be? Our land, ancient and sprawling, is woven with such mysteries. It's a tapestry of vibrant festivals and bustling cities. But beneath that surface, in the quiet corners and forgotten histories, lie the threads of something much, much older. Something that waits for the sun to set. Our land is full of stories, not just the ones written in history books, but those etched into the very soul of the landscape. They linger in the crumbling walls of ancient temples where prayers have long since faded, and drift along the lonely ghats where the living and the dead meet at the water's edge. They echo from the depths of abandoned wells, dark mouths in the earth that have swallowed secrets whole. And they cling to the gnarled branches of old banyan trees, silent sentinels under which no weary traveler dares to rest. These places hold a memory, a chilling energy that speaks of events that time has failed to erase. In every region, from the snow-dusted peaks of the Himalayas to the sun-scorched coasts of the south, there are legends. They are the cautionary tales whispered at dusk by grandmothers, their voices low and urgent, meant to keep children safe indoors. They are the local folklore that speaks of ghostly figures, cursed souls bound to roam the earth, their forms flickering at the edge of our understanding. These aren't just fables. For many, they are warnings. They are the unexplainable sounds in an empty haveli, the strange feeling of being followed on a deserted highway, the cold spot in a room that no warmth can touch. These stories tell of beings that defy easy explanation. They speak of the Chudail with her feet turned backwards, a malevolent spirit luring unsuspecting men to their doom. They warn of the Nishi, the night caller whose seductive voice, if answered 3 times, seals your fate. They describe the Preta, a tormented ghost consumed by an insatiable hunger and thirst, a tragic echo of a life unfulfilled. Each spirit carries its own history, its own sorrow, and its own unique brand of terror. They are the stitches in the dark fabric of our collective nightmare, passed down through generations. Tonight, we don't just tell these stories, we embark on a journey. We travel the length and breadth of India, leaving the comfort of the known world behind. We will venture into the shadows of our folklore, into the very heart of the places these tales were born. We will walk the haunted corridors of Bangar Fort, where the air itself feels heavy with a centuries-old curse. We will stand by the shores of Dumas Beach, where the black sand is said to hold the ashes and whispers of the dead. We will listen for the spectral cries that echo through the tunnels of the Kuldhara village. Abandoned overnight for reasons no one can truly explain. This is more than just a collection of ghost stories. It is an exploration into the nature of fear itself and the way it has shaped our culture and our beliefs. We will meet the spirits, the curses, and the horrors our ancestors warned us of, not as distant legends, but as present and potent forces that still hold sway over the human heart. These are the tales that remind us that the veil between worlds is thinner than we think. These are the top 10 Indian horror stories you should not hear. Alone, we invite you to join us on this chilling pilgrimage. But be warned, once you hear these tales, the world may never look the same. The rustle of leaves will sound like footsteps. The creak of a floorboard will become a sign. The darkness will no longer feel empty. So turn off the lights, lean in closer, and Listen if you dare. Number 10. Nale Ba. Come tomorrow in Karnataka, in the southern Indian state of Karnataka. A chilling two-word message can sometimes be found painted on the doors and walls of homes. Nale Ba. In the local Kannada language, it translates simply to come tomorrow. This isn't a casual note for a neighbor or a delivery person. It's a desperate plea for survival, a magical ward against a terrifying entity that stalks the night. The legend speaks of a malevolent spirit, often described as a predatory witch or a bridal ghost, that roams the dark, silent streets of villages after the sun has set. It moves with an eerie quiet, its only purpose to claim the souls of the living. The entity is said to arrive at a household deep in the night, usually around midnight, when the world is asleep and defenses are at their lowest. It doesn't simply break down the door. Its methods are far more insidious, far more psychologically terrifying. The spirit will call out to the person inside, perfectly imitating the voice of a loved one, a father, a child, or a spouse. It's a voice you trust implicitly. It might be your mother calling for a glass of water, or your child crying out from a nightmare. The mimicry is said to be flawless, designed to exploit your deepest bonds and instincts to care for your family. This is the core of the spirit's trap. If you are deceived, if you unlatch the bolt and open the door, your fate is sealed. Some versions of the tale claim you will collapse and die instantly from sheer fright, your heart giving out as you face the horrifying visage of the entity. Others say it will spirit you away, never to be seen again. The most common belief, however, is that opening the door is a fatal mistake, and by the first light of morning, you will be found dead. So, what can one do against such a cunning and deadly foe? How do you protect yourself when your own ears and heart can be turned against you? The answer lies in that simple phrase, Nale Ba. The villagers discovered a loophole in the entity's supernatural rules. The spirit, for all its power, is bound by a strange, almost bureaucratic compulsion. It cannot ignore a written instruction. When it sees Nale Ba painted on a door, it is forced to obey. It reads the message, turns away, and leaves the household in peace for that night, intending to return the following day. But when it does come back the next night, the message is still there, creating an endless loop of deferral. The spirit is tricked into a perpetual cycle of postponing its grim visit, always being told to come tomorrow. This simple act of writing becomes a powerful shield, a line of defense drawn not with weapons, but with words. The origins of this legend are often traced back to the 1990s, when a wave of panic and mysterious deaths reportedly swept through several communities in and around Bangalore. The Nale Ba phenomenon became so widespread that local newspapers and television channels covered the story, cementing the legend in the region's collective consciousness. It was a time of genuine fear, where entire villages would lock themselves down at night, the streets eerily empty, the silence broken only by the barking of dogs and the whisper of the wind. Imagine the scene. The moon is high, casting long skeletal shadows across the empty village path. You're inside your home, huddled with your family. Every creak of the house, every rustle of leaves outside sends a jolt of adrenaline through you. Then you hear it, a soft, hesitant knock on your door. A voice follows, trembling slightly. It's the voice of your sister asking you to let her in, saying she forgot her key. But your sister is right there, asleep in the next room. The blood runs cold in your veins as you realize who or what is truly outside. Would you open the door, second-guessing your own senses? Or would you grab a piece of chalk, your hand shaking, and reinforce the message on your door, hiding behind it until the sun rises to save you? Number 9. Agrasen Ki Baoli, Haunted Stepwell of Delhi. In the heart of Delhi, a city teeming with life and history, stands an ancient structure that sinks deep into the earth. Agrasen Ki Baoli. By day, it's a stunning piece of architecture, a marvel of ancient engineering that draws tourists and photographers. But as the sun dips below the horizon and shadows lengthen across its 108 stone steps, a different story emerges. A story whispered in hushed tones, a legend steeped in darkness and despair. This isn't just it's a monument to a forgotten past, a place where history's ghosts still linger. Built in the 14th century, its original purpose was to provide water to the people of a bustling city. But over the centuries, something changed. The well, once a source of life, became associated with death. Legends speak of a time when the well was filled not with clear life-giving water, but with a black, viscous liquid that held a strange, hypnotic power. Imagine standing at the top, looking down into the abyss. The air grows heavy, thick with an unseen presence. The cheerful sounds of the city fade away, replaced by an unnerving silence that seems to press in from all sides. Locals say that the black water had a voice, a siren's call that promised an end to all suffering. It would beckon the heartbroken, the desolate, and the depressed to come closer, to gaze into its murky depths. They say the water would whisper their names, pulling them into a trance, offering a final, fatal solution to their pain. One by one, they would be drawn to the edge, and one by one, they would leap into the darkness, never to return. Even today, with the well long since dried up, the feeling of dread remains. Visitors who venture down the steps report a sudden, inexplicable sense of sadness and anxiety washing over them. They feel as if they are not alone, as if unseen eyes are watching their every move from the dark, arched alcoves that line the walls. The temperature seems to drop with each step you take, and the silence becomes a living entity, broken only by the fluttering of pigeons and the frantic beating of your own heart. Some people report hearing faint whispers carried on the wind, echoes of the voices that once lured souls to their doom. Others claim to have felt a sudden, forceful push from behind, as if an invisible hand is trying to send them tumbling down the steep stone stairs. The deeper you go, the stronger the sensation becomes, a feeling of being followed, a chilling premonition that you have trespassed into a place where the living are not welcome. It's a heavy, oppressive energy that clings to you, a sorrow that seeps into your very bones. What is the source of this haunting? Is it the collective anguish of the souls who met their end within these stone walls? Or is it something older, a malevolent force that has always resided in the depths of the earth, waiting? There are stories of jinns and spirits drawn to the well, ancient entities that feed on human misery and despair. They say these beings still inhabit the shadowy corners and dark passageways, watching and waiting for their next victim. Walking those stone steps in the dark, the silence, the depth, every echo of your footsteps sounds like someone walking behind you. Every gust of wind through the archways sounds like a sigh of despair. corner of your eye, a shadow that darts away when you turn to look. You might feel a cold spot in the air, a sudden drop in temperature that makes the hair on your arms stand on end. This is the power of Agrasen Ki Baoli, a place where the veil between worlds feels terrifyingly thin. Would you dare to descend all 108 steps into the heart of the darkness? Would you peer into its empty blackness if you heard your name echo back? Number 8. Munjya, ghost of the Peepal tree in Maharashtra. In the quiet, dusty lanes of rural Maharashtra, as twilight bleeds across the sky, a strange stillness falls. The air grows heavy, thick with unspoken stories and ancient fears. It is in this liminal space between day and night that the leaves of the sacred Peepal tree begin to whisper. And if you listen closely, near these ancient trees at dusk, you might hear a boy's voice calling, the ghost known as Munjya. This isn't the playful call of a child heading home for dinner. It's something else, something lonely, something ancient, and something deeply malevolent. The legend of the Munjya is one whispered in hushed tones by grandmothers to keep children indoors after sunset. It's a story rooted in tradition, tragedy, and the unfulfilled desires that can bind a soul to this world long after its body has turned to dust. Legend says the Munjya is the restless spirit of a young Brahmin boy. He had just undergone his Upanayan ceremony, a sacred thread ceremony that marks a boy's entry into the life of a student, a celibate, a brahmachari. This is a pivotal moment, a transition from childhood to the responsibilities of spiritual learning. But for this particular boy, his journey was cut brutally short. He died tragically and unnaturally before he could complete his studies, before he could marry, before he could fulfill his life's purpose. His desires, his frustrations, and his unspent life force were trapped, denied passage to the next life, and unable to return to the one he lost. His spirit twisted into something bitter and vengeful. It found a home, a tether to the mortal world in the gnarled, sprawling branches of the Peepal tree. These trees, often seen as holy and life-giving, became his haunted perch, the source of his power. From here, he watches, he waits, and he yearns for what he can never have. The Munjya is a master of mimicry, a cruel ventriloquist of the damned. He listens to the sounds of the living, the familiar calls between family members. He learns your mother's voice, your brother's, your closest friends. He waits for the perfect moment, when you are alone, perhaps walking home on a path that takes you just a little too close to his tree. Then, from the rustling leaves, you'll hear it, your name called in a voice you trust completely. It sounds urgent, perhaps a little worried, compelling you to turn, to investigate. Drawn by the familiar sound, you might step off the path. You'd move towards the deep shadows pooling at the base of the Peepal tree, calling back the name of your loved one. The voice answers again, leading you deeper into the gloom. You're just trying to find them, to see what's wrong. But the voice is a lure, a phantom echo designed to pull you away from the safety of the light. Closer and closer you get, until the branches of the ancient tree seem to curve down around you, blocking out the last of the fading sun. Then, the darkness takes you. What happens next is the subject of grim speculation. Some say the Munjya, in his spectral rage, simply attacks, leaving his victims terrified and sometimes physically harmed. Others believe the fate is far worse. They say he possesses them, a terrifying spiritual violation, or drags their soul into his own lonely, twilight existence, forever trapped with him in the branches of the tree. The stories often end vaguely, with the person simply vanishing, never to be seen again. Their disappearance a permanent, chilling warning to the rest of the village. The Munjya, it seems, is desperate for company, and he is not particular about how he gets it. So if you ever find yourself walking the countryside of Maharashtra as the sun begins to set and the shadows of the peepal trees stretch long across the ground, be wary, listen to the wind, but do not trust the voices it carries. If you wander near a tree at dusk, would you answer when your name is called? Number 7. Baak, the water demon of Assam. In the vast, verdant wetlands of Assam, where the mighty Brahmaputra River nourishes the land, there are stories that cling to the mist like a shroud. These are not tales for the faint of heart. They are whispers passed down through generations, spoken in hushed tones around dying fires. They speak of the Baak demon of the water, a creature born from the murky depths, tall and thin, haunting ponds and swamps with a chilling, malevolent presence. Imagine a fisherman alone on his small wooden boat as dusk settles over the water. The air grows heavy, the chorus of insects falls silent, and an unnatural stillness descends. He feels it before he sees it, a cold dread that prickles the back of his neck. He looks up, and there, at the edge of the reeds, stands a figure. It is impossibly tall, its limbs elongated and stick-like, its skin a pale, corpse-like white that seems to glow faintly in the twilight. This is the Baak. Fishermen whisper of its long legs, its pale face, the way the water stills when it appears, as if the very river holds its breath in fear. The Baak is a creature of deep and ancient malice, its origins tied to the tragedies of the water. Local folklore says it is the restless spirit of a person who died by drowning, their soul twisted by the violent end and trapped between worlds. Consumed by jealousy for the living, it lurks in its watery grave, waiting. It doesn't just want to frighten, it wants what it has lost. It wants your life. Its greatest desire is to drag a living soul down into the cold, dark embrace of the water to take its place, freeing the demon to walk among men once more, if only for a short while. But the Baak is not merely a phantom that waits passively. It is a cunning and deceptive hunter. It knows the fears and desires of men. It is said to be a shapeshifter, a trickster. It might appear as a large, prize-winning fish, luring a greedy fisherman to cast his net just one more time into the deepening gloom. As he pulls his heavy catch, he doesn't find a fish, but the Baak itself, its long, spindly arms erupting from the water to ensnare him. It can also mimic the cries of a drowning child, a desperate, heart-wrenching sound that no decent person could ignore, pulling would-be rescuers to their doom. Villagers speak of its peculiar habits. It is known to be fiercely protective of its chosen pond or stretch of river, hoarding the fish within it. Any who dare to fish in the Baak's territory will find their nets mysteriously torn, their boats capsized, or worse. They tell stories of men who vanished without a trace, their empty boats found drifting aimlessly the next morning. The elders warn that the demon sometimes carries a Baakpra, a small woven box. Inside this box, it holds its soul. If a mortal could ever steal this box, they would command the Baak, turning the demon into their unwilling slave. But to attempt such a thing is to invite a fate worse than death. The most terrifying tales are of the possession. If the Baak succeeds in drowning a victim, it can sometimes steal their identity. The demon, now wearing the face and form of the deceased, returns to the victim's village. It walks into their home, greets their family, and lives their life. But it is not the same. The family notices changes. The person is quieter. Their eyes hold a cold, empty look. And they have an insatiable, horrifying appetite for raw fish, which they devour greedily, bones and all. They avoid temples, shun holy symbols, and are drawn back to the water's edge night after night, their true nature calling to them. The family lives with a monster, unaware that their loved one is gone, their body just a vessel for the ancient evil from the swamp. Some say it grabs you, drags you beneath the surface, where you float forever, your spirit becoming the new guardian of that dark water, your body lost to the silt and mud below. Your existence is erased, your story becoming just another chilling whisper on the wind. So, when the mist rises over the water at night, blanketing the world in a silent, gray veil, when you hear a strange sound from the riverbank, or see a flicker of movement in the shallows, would you walk the banks if you saw a shape in the reeds? Number 6. Chudail, or Daayan, the witch of North India. Across the sprawling plains, dense forests, and forgotten villages of North India, the legend of the Daayan, or Chudail, horrifies even the boldest. This isn't a fairy tale told to frighten children into obedience. It is a story whispered by elders, a warning etched into the very fabric of the night, a presence that feels chillingly real when the sun dips below the horizon and the shadows grow long and menacing. The name itself, spoken in hushed tones, is enough to conjure images of profound malevolence and an ancient, predatory evil. They appear as beautiful women, often with long, flowing black hair and dressed in elegant, ethereal clothes, typically a pristine white sari. Their beauty is a weapon, a carefully crafted illusion designed to disarm and entice. You might see one on a deserted road at twilight, her form silhouetted against the dying light, her gaze promising mystery and allure. She could be the woman you see by the well at midnight, her song carrying on the breeze, a melody that both enchants and unnerves. But this facade is thin, a fragile mask hiding a monstrous reality. The true horror is revealed in the details. Meet them in the moonlight, and you might see their feet are turned backwards. A grotesque inversion of the human form that betrays their unholy nature. Get closer, and their faces might distort, the beautiful features melting away to reveal a haggard, ancient visage with burning, predatory eyes. Their voices can shift from a siren's call to a guttural snarl in a heartbeat. These are not human souls. They are something far older, far more sinister, powered by jealousy, rage, and an insatiable hunger. Legends say the Chudail is often the restless spirit of a woman who died in childbirth, or one who suffered a violent, unjust death. Denied peace, her spirit returns, twisted by vengeance and a desperate craving for the life force she lost. They are drawn to men, luring them away from the safety of the village and deep into the jungle or to desolate ruins. Once their victim is isolated, they feed on his vitality, his very essence, leaving behind a withered husk or nothing at all. Their power is not limited to seduction. They are said to be masters of dark magic, capable of casting curses that bring sickness, misfortune, and death upon entire families. Countless tales permeate the folklore of the region. There is the story of the truck driver who offered a ride to a lone woman on a highway only to look in his rear view mirror and see her feet pointing the wrong way before she vanished, leaving him to crash. There are whispers of villages where all the young men disappeared one by one, their disappearances coinciding with the arrival of a mysterious, beautiful stranger. These entities are said to make their homes in specific trees, particularly the peepal or banyan tree, which are often avoided after dark. The rustling of their leaves on a windless night is said to be the Chudail calling for her next victim. So, how does one survive an encounter? The lore provides its own set of defenses. Iron is said to repel them, and holy scriptures or blessed charms can offer protection. The most common advice, passed down through generations, is simple yet vital. Avoid strange, solitary women near roads, forests, or bodies of water, especially during the liminal hours of dawn and dusk. Never accept food from them, never look directly into their eyes, and never, ever follow them. If you see footprints that face the wrong direction, turn and run without looking back. But the most potent defense is resisting the temptation they represent. The Chudail preys on weakness, on loneliness, on desire. Her illusion is her greatest strength. Would you follow temptation if you felt a chill behind the smile? Number 5. Kuldhara, the vanished village in Rajasthan. In the vast, sun-scorched expanse of Rajasthan's Thar Desert. About 18 kilometers west of Jaisalmer lies a ghost town, frozen in time, a place known as Kuldhara. Once a prosperous settlement, it was abandoned overnight in the early 1800s. Its story shrouded in mystery and fear. The silence here is heavy, broken only by the mournful desert wind whistling through crumbling walls and empty doorways. Imagine a thriving community of over 1,500 Paliwal Brahmins living in 84 interconnected villages. They were renowned for their agricultural prowess and astute business sense, turning the arid land into a flourishing oasis. For nearly 5 centuries, Kuldhara was a testament to their resilience and ingenuity. Its streets bustled with life, its homes echoed with the sounds of families, and its markets were filled with the chatter of trade. But all of that ceased in a single, terrifying night. The most enduring legend speaks of a tyrannical Dewan or minister of the state named Salim Singh. His cruelty was infamous, his greed insatiable. One day, his predatory gaze fell upon the beautiful daughter of the village chief. Consumed by lust and power, Salim Singh declared his intention to marry her with or without her consent. He gave the villagers an ultimatum: deliver the girl by the next full moon, or face the full brutal force of his army. Faced with this impossible choice, to sacrifice one of their own to a monster, or to face annihilation, the Paliwal Brahmins of all 84 villages convened a secret council. Honor was more precious than their homes, more valuable than the land their ancestors had nurtured for generations. Under the cloak of darkness, They made a solemn pact. They would not bow to tyranny. They would vanish. In one night, the entire community disappeared. Over 1,500 people, along with their livestock and whatever belongings they could carry, simply melted away into the desert. They left behind their homes, their fields, and a lifetime of memories. No one saw them leave. No one knows where they went. It was as if the earth had swallowed them whole. The village of Kuldhara, once vibrant and alive, fell into an eternal, deathly hush. But they did not leave without a final, chilling act of defiance. As they fled into the unknown, the Palewal Brahmins laid a powerful curse upon their abandoned home. They swore that no one would ever be able to settle in Kuldhara again. Anyone who tried would meet with a paranormal, violent, and untimely end. The land was to remain desolate forever, a permanent monument to their sorrow and Salam Singh's cruelty. For over 2 centuries, the curse has held true. Many have tried to reclaim the village, to rebuild its homes and cultivate its lands. All have failed. Those who dared to spend the night have fled in terror, recounting tales of inexplicable phenomena and a palpable sense of dread. The air itself seems thick with an unseen, malevolent presence. Today, Kuldhara stands as an archaeological site, a ghost town that draws the brave and the curious. As you walk through its skeletal streets, the sense of being watched is inescapable. Doors hang ajar on rusted hinges, creaking in the wind like a final, whispered warning. The ruins of homes, though ravaged by time, still show traces of the lives once lived within them. You can almost see the hearth where a family gathered, the courtyard where children played. Visitors and paranormal investigators report a litany of chilling experiences. Disembodied voices are heard whispering in the empty lanes. The faint sounds of children's laughter and women's chatter echo from deserted courtyards. Shadowy figures are seen flitting through the ruins, only to vanish when approached. Many have captured strange anomalies in their phonograph orbs of light, unexplained mists, and faces in the dusty windows. Some tourists have even felt a cold, spectral hand grab their shoulder, a phantom touch from a long-departed soul. The temperature is said to drop suddenly in certain spots, and electronic devices are known to malfunction without reason. Local guides will tell you stories of car engines mysteriously dying upon entering the village gates, only to start again without issue once pushed outside its cursed boundary. The most terrifying accounts speak of tiny handprints appearing on the dusty surfaces of vehicles that have been parked and left unattended, as if the ghostly children of the village are still playing among the ruins. Would you dare to walk these silent, cursed streets after sundown? Would you listen for the whispers of a vanished people carried on the desert wind? Would you sleep in a house no one dared return to? Number 4. Tumbbad and the Curse of Hastar in Maharashtra. In the village of Tumbbad, Maharashtra, there is a hidden god, Hastar, forbidden, forgotten. He is the firstborn son of the goddess of prosperity, a creature of insatiable hunger for both gold and grain. A being so vile, so consumed by avarice, that his own mother cast him into her womb, into an eternal sleep. But even gods can have their slumber disturbed. The villagers sought his treasure, but greed awakened his hunger. It became horror, myth, and curse. For generations, one family, the Raos, held the secret to his prison. They knew the rituals, the chants, and the precise measurements of flour needed to contain his monstrous appetite. They learned to dance on the edge of damnation, to offer a token of food in exchange for a shower of gold coins plucked directly from the god's loincloth. This was their inheritance, a pact sealed in blood and flour, passed down from father to son. Imagine the year is 1918. The rain never stops in Tumbbad. It seeps into the soil, into the stone, into the very bones of the people who live there. Young Vinayak Rowe watches his mother serve a monstrous, chained ancestor, great-grandmother cursed by Hastar's touch, now a grotesque creature that craves only sleep and sustenance. He hears the whispers of the treasure, the legend of a cursed womb deep within the earth that births gold for those brave or foolish enough to enter. He sees the poverty, the desperation, and the single, glittering promise of escape. The greed is a seed, planted in childhood. It grows in the dark, watered by hardship and ambition. When his mother flees Tumbbad with him, she makes him swear never to return. But oaths are fragile things when weighed against the glint of gold. Years later, as a man, Vinayak is drawn back. He is no longer a frightened boy, but a man driven by a singular, corrosive desire. He will not just appease the god, he will plunder him. He will master the curse that destroyed his family. He learns the descent, down into the wet, red earth, into a chamber that breathes like a living lung. There, in the terrifying, pulsating heart of the goddess's womb, Hastar rises. A skeletal horror, a symphony of creaking bones and ancient malice. Vinayak must draw a circle of flour, a fragile boundary between man and monster. He must offer a dodo, a small sacrifice to distract the god's eternal hunger. For a fleeting moment, as Hastar devours the offering, his guard is down. Gold coins fall like rain, and Vinayak must grab what he can before the god's attention turns back to him. One touch means the curse. One mistake means an eternity as a shrieking, undying wretch. For 15 years, Vinayak repeats this terrifying ritual. He becomes a wealthy man, his life in the city a stark contrast to the grim secret he harbors in Tumbbad. The descent becomes routine, the terror a familiar friend, but greed is a bottomless pit. The few coins he can grab in each harrowing encounter are no longer enough. The seed of greed has become a forest, and it has taken root in his own son. He sees the same hunger in his boy's eyes, the same reckless ambition. He begins to teach him the ways of the well, preparing him to inherit not just the wealth, but the damnation that comes with it. The desire for more, for all of it, leads to a final, desperate plan. Not just a few coins, but the god's entire loincloth, the source of the infinite treasure. A plan so audacious it spits in the face of the goddess herself. It is the ultimate act of hubris, an attempt to steal the very essence of the curse. Father and son descend together, armed not with one doll, but with dozens, hoping to create a long enough distraction to commit the ultimate theft. They are no longer just appeasing a god, they are trying to rob him blind. But a being born of pure greed cannot be outsmarted by its mortal equivalent. When you hear tales of treasure beneath the trees, of ancestral sins and curses that span generations, would you dig into the darkness and face what you find? Tumbbad teaches us that the greatest monster is not the one sleeping in the earth. It is the one that awakens within our own hearts. It is the insatiable hunger for more, the greed that whispers promises of wealth while leading us to our own self-made hell. For in Tumbbad, the rain never truly washes away the sins of the father, and the treasure is never worth the price. Number 3. Nishi, or Munakwa, face scratcher legend in Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. Imagine the sweltering heat of a North Indian summer night. The power is out, a common occurrence, plunging entire villages into a profound, inky darkness. You're lying on your rooftop, trying to catch a whisper of a breeze. The only sound, the distant hum of a generator and the chirping of crickets. Suddenly, a strange light zips across the sky. Is it a shooting star? A plane? No, this light is different. It's erratic, almost alive, and it seems to be getting closer. Your heart begins to pound in your chest. The elders have warned you about this. They call it the Munakwa, the face scratcher. The legend of the Munakwa, or the Nishi as it is also known, is a chilling tale that gripped the regions of Uttar Pradesh and Bihar in the early 2000s. The name Munakwa literally translates to face scratcher, a terrifyingly direct description of this entity as modus operandi. Eyewitness accounts from the time describe a bizarre flying object, often no bigger than a football or a large kite, emitting brilliant flashes of red and blue light. It would appear suddenly in the dead of night, swooping down from the sky to attack unsuspecting villagers, primarily those sleeping out in the open to escape the oppressive summer heat. The attacks were brutal and terrifyingly specific. The creature would descend upon its victims, its goal singular and horrifying, to maul and scratch their faces. Survivors were left with deep, painful gashes and burns, as if they'd been attacked by a wild animal with red-hot claws. The panic that ensued was palpable. Mass hysteria swept through countless villages. People were afraid to sleep, let alone venture outside after sunset. The nights, once a time of respite and community, became a period of sheer terror. What was this thing? The theories were as wild and varied as the sightings themselves. Some believed it was an undiscovered species of insect or a mutated bird driven to madness by the heat. Others whispered of more supernatural origins. They spoke of the Nishi, a malevolent spirit from Bengali folklore that lures its victims to their doom by calling their name in a familiar voice. According to this belief, answering the Nishi's call 3 times would seal your fate. This crossover of folklore suggests the terror was so profound that people reached for any explanation, blending ancient myths with a terrifying new reality. The situation became so dire that it escalated from local ghost stories to a matter of state concern. In 2002, the panic reached its peak. Police forces in districts like Kanpur, Mirzapur, and Varanasi were inundated with reports. Vigilante groups formed, with villagers arming themselves with sticks, torches, and whatever crude weapons they could find, patrolling the night in a desperate attempt to protect their families. The authorities tried to quell the fear, dismissing the phenomenon as a combination of mass hysteria, insect bites, and the work of pranksters. They even offered a substantial cash reward for the capture of this creature, but no one ever claimed it. The Munakwa remained elusive, a phantom predator that defied all logical explanation. To this day, the true identity of the Munakwa remains one of India's most unsettling modern mysteries. Was it a cleverly orchestrated prank that spiraled out of control? A case of collective delusion fueled by fear and summer heat? Or was something genuinely otherworldly terrorizing the countryside of Uttar Pradesh and Bihar? The official reports attribute the injuries to everything from ball lightning to scratches from frightened cats. But for those who lived through that terrifying summer, who saw the strange lights and bore the scars, the answer is far more sinister. It was the face scratcher, a terrifying reminder that even in our modern world, some horrors refuse to be explained away. Number 2. The ghosts of the railway tracks. India's haunted lines. Throughout India, there are stories of trains stopping in the middle of nowhere, passengers vanishing, phantom children walking the tracks. They whisper of desolate stations where the clock stopped decades ago, yet the waiting never ends. They speak of carriages filled with unseen travelers, their spectral baggage weighing down the very air you breathe. They say the dead linger where steel meets darkness, where fog covers the rails and the mournful cry of the horn sounds like a final lament. Imagine this. You are alone on a platform late at night, the only living soul under the weak, buzzing yellow light. The last train is late. A sudden mist rolls in, thick and cold, smelling of damp earth and something else, something old and sorrowful. You hear the distant chugging, the rhythmic clatter of wheels on iron. But when the train emerges from the fog, it's not the one you were expecting. The windows are dark, the paint is peeling, and a strange silence hangs over it, a silence that seems to absorb all other sound. The doors slide open, an invitation into the abyss. Do you step aboard? Let's travel to the Baak tunnel number 33 on the Kalka-Shimla line, a marvel of engineering but born from tragedy. Its creator, the British engineer Colonel Baak, made a fatal miscalculation. The two ends of the tunnel failed to meet. Shamed and fined by the government, he walked into his incomplete tunnel one day, accompanied only by his dog, and never walked out. They say he shot himself in the darkness, unable to bear the failure. Now, passengers report a palpable sadness within its damp, stone walls. Some have seen a spectral figure in colonial attire, pacing in the gloom, forever trying to complete his impossible task. They say if you call out his name, he might just answer back from the shadows. But not all spirits are so melancholic. Some are filled with a chilling, restless energy. Journey with us to the Bikankador train station in West Bengal. A place so haunted, it was officially abandoned for over 40 years. Villagers spoke of a woman in a white sari, seen gliding along the platform and even running along the tracks, faster than any human could. The legend says she was a victim of a train accident, her soul forever bound to the place of her demise. Station masters who witnessed her either died mysteriously or fled in terror, refusing to return. The station, a lone building in the vast, empty plains, became a symbol of fear. Would you dare to wait for a train there as dusk bleeds into an impenetrable night? Sometimes the haunting isn't confined to a single station or tunnel. It travels with the train itself. On the Mumbai Suburban Railway, commuters speak of the ghost train. It's a late-night service, always half-empty. In certain carriages, people report seeing a bride weeping silently in a corner. Her face is pale, her bridal dress torn and stained. They say she was left at the altar and in her despair threw herself in front of an oncoming train. Her sorrow is so profound, so suffocating, that those who sit near her feel an overwhelming wave of grief, a despair that is not their own. They get off at their stop, but the sadness clings to them for days. You board an empty compartment. You feel a chill. You hear a child's laughter from the vacant seat beside you. You dismiss it as the wind, as your mind playing tricks. The train lurches forward, its wheels screaming against the tracks. You glance out the window, but the familiar city lights have vanished, replaced by an endless, inky blackness. The rhythmic clatter becomes a frantic heartbeat, faster and faster. The laughter is closer now, a cold breath on your neck. Would you trust the lighted compartment when the station disappears behind you and the only destination is the unknown? Number 1. The Sleeping Goddess. Village Secrets and Ancestral Curses. In the remote villages of the sun-scorched plains, they say a goddess sleeps beneath the earth, neglected, angry, stirring. She is not one of the benevolent deities of light and prosperity. No, she is a goddess of shadow, of hunger, born from a time before memory. The villagers call her Buki Mata, the hungry mother. For generations, her slumber was assured by offerings, by rituals passed down from father to son, whispered from mother to daughter. A pact was made in blood and bone, a promise to satiate her eternal appetite. But times changed. The young men left for the cities, their ears filled with the noise of progress, deaf to the ancient whispers. The old ways were dismissed as superstition, the sacred rites forgotten. Now, the fields die, the rich soil turning to dust and cracking like old skin under the relentless sun. The children, once vibrant with laughter, fall sick with a strange, wasting illness. Their eyes hollowing as if something is draining the life from them. The monsoon, the lifeblood of the land, fails. The clouds gathering on the horizon only to mock the parched earth before dissipating. And the elders, their faces a roadmap of worry, whispered the truth in the dim light of their huts. We forgot to feed her. They remember the stories their own grandparents told of the last time she began to stir. A century ago, when the offerings faltered, the river turned the color of rust, and no child born that year saw their first birthday. It was a lesson etched in sorrow, a lesson now tragically unlearned. She waits beneath the gnarled banyan tree at the edge of the village, its roots digging deep into the ground like gnarled fingers touching the place where she rests. They say her dreams are our nightmares, her stirring the cause of the ground's tremble. The well water has begun to taste of metal and decay, and at night, strange guttural sounds echo from the direction of the old tree, a sound like a great stomach rumbling in the deep. The village priest, a man whose faith was once as strong as the temple stone, now looks to the sky with empty eyes. His prayers to the gods of light go unanswered. He knows, as do the few remaining elders, that those gods have no power here. This is her domain. The land itself is her body, and she is waking up. The pact is broken, and a debt is owed. A debt that must be paid not in grain or milk, but in life. A young woman, returning from the city to care for her ailing mother, scoffs at the stories. She brings medicine, logic, a modern mind. But as she watches her mother fade, as she hears the wails of other mothers in the night, a cold dread begins to seep into her heart. She sees the fear in the eyes of the children who still play, a haunted, knowing look that no child should possess. They draw pictures in the dirt, not of homes and flowers, but of a great dark shape with 1,000 mouths rising from beneath a tree. The elders decide the old ritual must be performed. A sacrifice is needed, not of an animal, but of something far more precious. A life given willingly to restore the balance, to lull the goddess back to her dreamless sleep. But who would make such a choice? Who would walk to the ancient banyan tree and offer themselves to the insatiable dark below? The ground does not just tremble now, it groans. The air grows thick, heavy with an unseen pressure, and the scent of damp earth and something anciently predatory hangs over the village. The hungry mother is close to waking. When her eyes open, her hunger will be absolute. The village, the fields, the very memory of the people who live there will be consumed. No one will stand. Would you listen when the ground trembles beneath your feet? India's horror is not just in the ghosts. It's in the land, the memories, the bargains broken, and promises forgotten. It whispers through the sprawling banyan roots and echoes in the abandoned havelis, where time itself seems to hold its breath. The tales we've shared tonight are more than just stories. They are the collected anxieties of generations etched into the very soil of the subcontinent. They are warnings wrapped in the chilling embrace of the supernatural, reminding us that some histories refuse to be buried and some spirits refuse to be silenced. When we walk at dusk, when we light a lamp, not just for the living, but for the unseen, we are acknowledging a world that runs parallel to our own, a realm of shadows and whispers that we can only glimpse at the edges of our perception. The fear we feel is a primal connection to those who came before us, who saw the same shifting shadows in the corners of their eyes and felt the same unexplainable chill on a warm night. We step into a story older than the walls around us, a narrative woven from folklore, faith, and the profound, unsettling mystery of what lies beyond the veil. Which of these legends haunted you most tonight? Was it the vengeful cry of a spirit seeking justice, or the quiet, creeping dread of a place that simply feels wrong? Write in the comments and tell me what you fear. Your stories, your local legends, and your own experiences are a vital part of this ongoing conversation with the dark. Every shared tale adds another thread to this tapestry of terror, connecting us all in our fascination with the unknown. If you loved this journey into India's darkest tales, subscribe for more from every corner of the world. We have so many more shadows to explore, so many more forgotten histories to unearth. The world is full of places where the past is not dead, where it's not even past. Join us as we continue to seek them out, to listen to their stories, and to understand the fears that shape our cultures and our dreams. Until then, keep the lights on. And remember, some doors should never be opened.